Hi everyone, I'm really excited to take part in this event. And today I'm going to explore with you the concept of trust and how important it is to be trusted and to trust in the context of English classroom. So for you, to get acquainted with me and to know me better, I'm going to tell a little bit about myself. And while I'm doing it, you can start thinking about what is the concept of trust-based environment for you personally. If you want, you can even pause the recording and think about this concept, make some notes, and then compare to what I'm going to tell you about. So I am a teacher of English, as you could have guessed, and I've been teaching for about 16 years now. And I've got a bunch of certificates and a lot of experience in different environments, from private schools and centers to absolutely online teaching, teaching groups of kids, teenagers, preschool children. And everywhere I found it that trust is something that glues the group together, that makes relationships meaningful for everyone. And also, I'm consulting teachers and parents, and here trust is also playing a very important role, as you can guess. So, without further ado, let's explore what is trust. And after that, we are going to say, why is it so important in teaching? Or maybe it isn't. Think about it. Do you think it's really the crucial thing? Or maybe it's not? And then if you decide that it's still important for you, you can learn about some techniques of building trust between your students, between you and the parents of your students, between you and your students. Uh, Mutual trust for everyone. So some teachers actually think that it's meaningless to talk about building trust. Everyone should just trust me because I'm a teacher. Isn't it like that? Do you think so? Now, I know there is some distance and time between me recording this and you watching me, but still, I want you to move a little if you could do it for me. So please raise your hands if you have ever been in a situation when the parents of your future students didn't think you were reliable enough at the beginning of your relations. I've been there. And could you raise your other hand if uh, you've been suspicious of some of the new clients and you thought that maybe they're not telling the whole truth? Because I did. And could you wave to me if you experienced the situation when students in your class wouldn't share some personal stories or experience because they didn't feel safe enough to share personal stories? I have been in that situation like many times. And that is why I think it's crucial for us to think about trust, to build trust, and think of how you can keep that trust in your teaching environment. And this definition is here because I think it's the best one, the easiest, and the most telling. So if you trust the person, you believe that this person is good and honest, and this person won't harm you, and that they are safe and reliable. Isn't it what anyone wants in any classroom, be it online or offline? Actually, be it adults or kids, doesn't matter that much. That's what we all need, isn't it? So, uh, what is trust for me? For me, it's the vital component of any teaching or learning situation. And it has been like that from the very beginning, as far as I can remember, actually. But I realized it only when I became a teacher that that is the underlying principle of everything I do in the classroom. And without it, it's just meaningless. I don't know why do that if we don't trust each other, because teaching the language is teaching the whole system of beliefs, teaching the mentality, teaching the history, the culture, everything. And if you don't trust the people and people don't trust you, then how could you do that, right?
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
Let's explore what can it do for our classroom if we build this trust, if we gain our students' trust, and if they can confide in each other. First of all, it prevents miscommunication. And I think it's not new for you when sometimes you say one thing and students or their parents understand it differently. Sometimes they just hear the opposite thing. And one of the reasons it happens is that they don't trust you. They don't believe that you say the truth. So if they don't believe you, then what's the aim of all of that? So first of all, you should be sure. You should be sure that parents and children believe what you say. Otherwise, you will have miscommunication, misunderstanding all the way through. And the other thing, why is it important? It's questions. When you trust a person, you can ask questions, even personal questions, but basically any questions. I think you've been there when you say, "Do you have any questions to your class?" And there's this nice silence all over. Do you think they really don't have questions? Because they do. They just not, they don't feel safe enough to ask them. They don't feel that you're reliable enough. Maybe they don't feel that the other students, their group mates are reliable enough. This is why they don't ask. Maybe they don't think their language is good enough, but it's also about trusting, just trusting yourself. You see? So to ask questions, you need to feel safe. To feel safe, you need to trust the people around you, right? Another thing, like next level, we all want our students to be successful, to take part in different projects, to make decisions for themselves, to be independent learners. But to do all of that, they should, first of all, feel safe enough. They should feel that if they give an idea, nobody is going to harm them. Nobody is going to laugh at them. Everyone is going to accept that, even if it's the craziest of ideas, even if it's just so silly, just goofy. Even then, their ideas accepted means they are accepted. And we, as teachers, should make sure that they feel like that. And what was written in the description of my talk, and what I find quite important for myself, and I think it's important for you as well, is building long-term relations. I'm self-employed, so, if I don't build long-term relations, if I fail at that, no income, just no money, no way of living. I'll have to do something else. So that's really crucial for me. And I think it's equally important for any teacher, because we're teaching the language, it doesn't happen in a day or week. We need to do it for at least months and usually years. And to enjoy that process, to make that process efficient, you need to build trust.
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
Having said that, let's look at the ways how we can do that. And I'm sorry, no magic tricks here. I'm not going to give you some fairy powder or anything like that. First of all, you need to lead by example. And I'm going to go into detail here because leading by example means, first of all, you need to trust yourself. And I just want to make a little pause here and repeat. You need to trust yourself as a person, as a teacher. If you don't trust yourself, then everything else is just not working. It's falling apart. So if you doubt that you're good enough, if you doubt that you're a professional teacher, if you doubt this or that, find some understanding with yourself. Find some inner balance that will allow you to feel relaxed in your classes, to feel confident enough, to feel that you're good enough to be there and to teach. And because it's just basic, if you don't have that, everyone will see that. I'm sorry. So we need to work on that. Of course, it's a lifelong process, and we never reach this ideal grade of thinking we're always good. That's not what I'm talking about. Just the basic level of being confident that you are good enough to be here to do what you do. Try to come to the classroom with that feeling. Even if you're just starting your career, it's possible. Breathe in, breathe out. Remember all the training you had, all the conferences you attended, all the books you read. Just breathe out and go there being confident that you're good enough. And another thing, you should do what you want the others to do. For example, in my classroom, I have very simple rules. And by the way, rules are important for building trust. When you know what to expect, you feel safe. Because this environment without rules, it never feels safe for the children. They need rules. They need certain borders. So setting the rules in your classroom, and they can be different. Remember that you should follow them as well. And if you say that your rule is being polite, don't forget to be polite to your students. Doesn't matter if they're 3-year-olds or 13 or 33 years old or 83. You need to be polite. If you say that being friendly is a rule, and I'm talking about the rules that are in my classroom actually, then you should be friendly all the time. And if you're not, you should say sorry, as well as your students do. No exceptions. You're setting the example, and they will follow. And if you see that somebody is breaking the rule, you should notice it, and you should say it aloud, and you should say and do something to stop that. Because if you don't, then it means it's not a real rule. So think about that before saying what rules you have and before doing something in your classroom. Then, what should we do when we have a new group and we want it to work? We want it to not only survive but thrive in the long term. We should start with knowing each other personally. All these trust building techniques, all these nice games and warm-up tasks and pair work and projects, you can find loads of those online and offline. Don't forget to use them. That's essential. You don't have to use like all of them. You can have just two or three things and repeat that. For example, the easiest thing, and you don't need any preparation for that, if your group's level is enough to talk for some time, of course, just ask your students to take one thing, one personal belonging they have with them, and they can choose any they want. For example, I have a cup, and ask them to tell each other what they want about this belonging. Where is it from? What they think about it? Why do they have it? What they feel about it. For example, this cup is my first porcelain cup that I've ever owned. And my friend actually sent me some money for my birthday when she was away and she couldn't meet me personally. And she said, buy yourself something that will make you smile. And I bought this nice cup and it makes me smile. And it's so nice and gentle. And I remember my friend every time I see the cup and I use it. And that's as easy as that. Your students will tell something and they will feel closer to each other. They will feel that there is some bond between them. And you need to forge these bonds. You need to work on this connection they have and be very gentle not to break these bonds when they just start to appear. And even when they're strong, be careful with them. That's very important. It's very important not to fail there. And of course, before asking students to share personal stories, it's really worth it to share your own story, as I just did. So I've shared it with you. If you want, you can pause this video and try to take any personal possession that you have at hand and try to tell a small story about it. Walk in the shoes of your students. And then you can show this example to them and ask them to do the same. And I hope it will do wonders in your classroom. Then something we shouldn't do, right? So I tried to stay positive most of it, but sometimes it's important to say what we shouldn't do to set this border for ourselves. So it's very important to avoid pointing fingers in the classroom, avoid saying that someone is to blame for somebody for something, but somebody is not doing good enough. I don't mean that you should praise the students all the time for doing nothing, but there is a long way between not praising and blaming. Try not to go close to blaming. Remember, they are vulnerable and you are vulnerable. Each of us is vulnerable. Just remember, we are all fragile. And our task as teachers is to create this safe place where nobody is going to hurt you. Again, doesn't matter how old is the student or the teacher. We should all feel safe. We all deserve to feel safe. And when you feel something is going wrong, offer support instead of criticism. Don't say you are bad at this. Say you need to work on that. Say you need to explore this. Say you need more going into this. And this simple decision not to criticize but to support will will make all the difference in your classroom. But this should come from inside. Inside, you should decide that you're not criticizing, you're supporting your students today, tomorrow, next year, all the time. And if you fail to do that, say sorry and try again and again and again until it becomes your habit. And another thing which is crucial is to stay open-minded, because sometimes we don't know the reasons why somebody is doing something, why your client, the parent or the student reacts this or that way. Ask questions. Give them the benefit of trust and ask questions. Why did you say that? Why did you do that? Okay, let's remember one of the cases I had. Uh, you shouted that we are all stupid, closed the window, and went away when working online. Why did you do that? And I asked it after the class, why? What was the reason? And then you can find out that the reason was not you or the other students. The reason was that this person had a fever and it was just so hard to participate. And I got all the sorries I could, and I got the relations we had back. And this person just came back to the classroom next lesson, said sorry to the other students. We forgot it. He explained why I accepted it, the other students accepted it, and everyone was happy again. And there was no harm done. Just ask why. Sometimes the reasons may surprise you. And when you're working with groups, you are in charge of the atmosphere in the group. You are in charge of what is going on. So if you see some cliques being built from the very start, you should break that. I'm sorry, there is no other way of building uh, the team without discouraging cliques, especially when you see some friends coming to your group together. And I have that in multiple occasions that 2 or 3 friends are coming and they want to be in pairs only with each other. They want to communicate only with each other. Sometimes they start making fun of the others. That can't be like that. You should explain politely, without criticism, just support why in your group everyone talks to everyone. Everyone respects everyone, including you. And this should be the underlying principle of what you do. And if you don't do that from the very start, you will see the consequences. And I believe you won't like that because usually it just leads to your group dividing in 2 or 3 small groups that wouldn't work with each other. They wouldn't communicate properly. And there will be always this tense between them, which is the opposite of safe and trusting environment that we want. And also, when you did all the previous stuff, you can show the students why you value teamwork. Again, why you value teamwork. I will tell you now how I did it, but your values may be different. Just tell why you think working in a team is important. I told my students that we are all so different, that it's so valuable to see this uniqueness of each of us and share this unique experience we have, this unique view of the world and every topic, every thing that we're discussing. And I gave them examples and they got it, you know. You can explain it even to 7 years old. And I'm not scared of telling that in Russian. I think it's important. It's worth it. So don't forget to explain why. Why are we doing this? Not only teamwork, of course, but teamwork is something I wanted to point out. Explain why, and you will see that even the small kids can understand and will understand that. Okay, of course, as I said, there are loads of activities, and you will have the QR codes with the link to them in the end of this presentation. You can use them, choose the ones you like, try them out. They definitely do help to build trust faster and easier. I'm not going to describe all of them, of course. We had one example with the cup. I hope you remember it. By the way, you can do the same stuff with photos. If you don't want the real ear, you can ask the students to bring photos and describe them. You can ask to take some photos, for example, of their workplace or their bag and describe those. whatever. All of it works. Eating together. I am a fan of tea time, picnics, or just bringing food to the class. When I worked offline, I always had a supply of some snacks in my classroom, actually, and we were eating them during the breaks. And now I sometimes do online classes when I ask them to bring foods, and I always allow to bring some drinks to the classroom, alcohol ones, of course. Um, and we just sit together, we describe the food we eat, we share the emotions, and it's a very nice way of bonding. And I also organize some offline events from time to time when we get together, we eat together, we play together. It also builds this nice community. And by the way, you don't have to do it only in the small group. You can put several groups together, even different ages. Eating together can connect people of all ages, you know. And the last technique I wanted to share here is do the things you are good at and encourage students to show what they are good at. For example, I am really good in reading books for kids out loud. I do enjoy it. It's just, I don't know, it's my hobby, I suppose. I have a whole bookcase of them, and I just love doing that. I bring it to the classroom. Also, I really enjoy singing songs, very simple ones, and I bring that to the classroom. And then I ask my students, what do you enjoy? What is your hobby? Bring it, show it if you can. They can just actually show it if it's something like gymnastics or playing the guitar or drawing, or they can show videos or photos of their hobby. They can tell about it. And by the way, let's remember hobbies shouldn't be academic. If the hobby is playing computer games, that is okay. If the hobby is sleeping, we had so much fun when one girl was showing how she sleeps and she brought her favorite pillow, you know, and it was so relaxed and so much fun. So don't judge here. Hobby can be anything. Sleeping is okay.
Хотите постоянно развиваться в преподавании иностранных языков? Школа Дмитрия Никитина проводит образовательные тренинги, конференции и курсы для преподавателей. Подробности о событиях можно узнать по ссылке в описании.
Basically, this is it. And before I share the link with you, I wanted to remember together. And again, you can pause the video and think, what have I done today to build your trust, to make you trust me? What do you think? Can you remember I used some techniques? Can you think of them? Can you remember them? I hope at least one or two will come to your mind. Okay, and let's look at what I think I did. I told you about myself. I shared some facts about me, and it usually helps people to trust the person more. I told you about my plans, so I got you this, not rules, maybe we don't have rules in this talk, but it's something similar, you know, it's the structure. I shared the structure we'll have, and this actually helps people to relax a little bit when they know what is going to happen next. I tried to find something in common with you when I asked you to raise your hand or to wave to me. I hope I did. I shared some personal cases, some personal stories about the cup, about the students who shouted and left the classroom. I tried to joke. I don't know if it was funny or not. I asked some questions. By the way, do you remember what is trust-based environment for you? You have more ideas after my talk, hopefully. And I spent some meaningful time with you. I didn't eat because I was talking, but still, I hope I spent some time which had some meaning in it. At least it's had for me, definitely. And I do hope that you trust me a little bit more than in the beginning of this talk. And if you do, first of all, you can follow my link. There are no bugs there, so you can just scan the QR code and grab 17 trust building games, which you can use both offline or online, and they're adaptable to young learners and teenagers and even adults. They are very good. I didn't write those. I just found the best list that consists only of the games I tried. So they are tried and trusted. You can rely on me in that. And of course, if you have any questions left and you trust me enough to ask them, I'll be happy to answer those. And you can contact me by my email in VK, in Telegram, and maybe in some other on some other social networks starting with F, if you know what I mean. I am Nadya or Nadezda Bukina everywhere. I'm easy to find. That's all I wanted to share with you. I hope you found something useful here, and feel free to contact me.